Hello YouTube. It's been a while. It's been a while for many reasons. But all reasons aside, here I am. Today's video is going to be about what it's like to have sleep as your last animal. This is a subjective take on the objective personality system. Animals are used to describe behaviors and tendencies based on your cognitive functions. If you're curious or interested about that, I would highly suggest you check out objectivepersonality.com and look at the gurus and gods and goddesses that put that stuff together, because it helps make a lot of sense of my life. So without further ado, here I go. Your animals, like I said, describe tendencies that you might have that go alongside with your cognitive functions. In my case, sleep, well, there's 4 animals. Mine just so happened to go in the order consume, play, blast, sleep. Why have I decided to make a video on sleep last? Well, not only is it my weakest function, being the last, but that means that it's the most difficult for me to put into practice or to observe. Lately, perhaps it's because of age, my sleep, or the lack thereof, have been coming into view. Perhaps not so much or how little it is that I'm doing of it, but how much not doing it is beginning to affect me. Sleep, if I recall, is basically where one goes to process themselves, process events, process life, process the past, just to process. Who are you? What are you? What are you doing? And to have this stuff clear, understood, solid. People who have sleep first generally know what they're about, generally are unwavering and stick to their convictions. People who have it last don't know what they are about, have an idea of what they like, what they don't like, but they have a hard time putting it into practice or upholding it or keeping it consistent. So everyone, the last animal's the most hardest thing that they got. For play last, it's hard to interact with people. It's very difficult, it's draining. For blast last, it's hard to do things, it's hard to teach, it's hard to get started. For consume last, it's very difficult to take in new information, wanting to continue to go over what is already known. And for sleep last, you just don't stop. You don't stop. You keep going, and you keep going, and you keep learning, and you keep playing with people and interacting with people, or wanting to. You keep even doing things when the first 2 get difficult. And you don't stop to see if you need rest. You don't stop to see if you've gathered enough information. You don't stop to do what you want. You don't stop. You don't stop. And if life doesn't have a way of taking care of you, you'll start to stop. You'll start to realize how tired you are in spite of wanting to keep going. You'll start to realize all the feelings, in my case, that you haven't been paying attention to, all the love and affection that you think you're giving, but you're not stopping to have given back to you. All the actions that you take for people just because it's easy for you to keep going and to keep going, not letting them do something for you in exchange. How long you'll keep up doing things, being with people, being at a job, having a hobby, all the things that you don't stop to ask, does this serve me anymore? Is this in my best interest? Am I really getting anything and everything I need out of this still? Why? Because why not? Just keep going. Just keep going. What happens if you stop? Ooh, what happens if you stop? If you stop, the fear is that the nothing, everything that you've been running away from, or that you think you've been running towards, everything that you've been running from or biking from, it's right there. It's right behind you. It's right behind you, ready to swallow you whole. If you just stop for a moment, the waves and the tide will come and wash over you right from behind as you fall forward and hope that you can swim. As you stop, your mind begins to race, and your mind begins to process all the things that this beautiful world outside here in the sun, amongst the birds and the fish and the bugs and sometimes the big lizards, all those things that distract you and keep this busy, now begin to come up from the bottom up. And you find yourself in the rising tide of thoughts and emotions and things to process. Depending on your life, the life that you've lived and the choices that you've made, some of these things can be very difficult. Some of these things have been dragged on for many, many years. Things that are still going on that you can't help. That you're waiting for time to present a door for you to make a decision. That all the while you haven't processed what it means to you now. And these things, whether you like it or not, build up in you. And your body keeps the score, as I've heard on the internet. Your body keeps tabs, your body keeps score. And it lets you know. It lets you know that it's time to stop. When you can't keep going. When doing the same things that brought you joy now just feel like you're trying to run away from anxiety. Like when being around the people that you love and that love you seems like a task. Because something in here tells you they know. They know. They probably don't. If they love you and know you well enough, they might have an idea you're not feeling good. They might have an idea that something's going on. But they're not about to pry you or pry open your head. They're not about to sit you down and ask you the hard questions that I already asked myself. That's projection. And I've learned that and still have to practice it with difficulty. Especially around those that seem to have sleep high, those who are processed, those who seem to know what's going on, those who seem to have a clear understanding of their world regardless of how thick they are in it. Those who are quiet and know what they're about give me a lot of anxiety because, like I said, they make me feel like they know everything and everything about me. And if nothing else, interacting with another person or group of people brings their chemistry to your chemistry, and inevitably some reactions and connections are made. Sometimes things are missed, a lot more are missed, and sometimes a lot of them go together. And just through proximity of being around these people, they bring out my sleep. And I might not be ready for it. Actually, I'm not ready for it 95% of the time. But the only thing you could do is run away. Run away from those who you would have a relationship with. Run away from those who would help you understand yourself. And if irony doesn't have a stake in this whole thing, me being play second, who loves to interact with people, the antithesis of that is running away. Creates even more anxiety. So go figure. Stopping to think and process brings me anxiety, and leaving those who would otherwise help me or force me through interaction to stop and process, running away from them also brings me anxiety. At least half of it is self-inflicted. So I come out here. What is out here? Out here is the Florida Everglades. Out here is a boardwalk almost 2 miles away from the main road, which is about an hour away from my house. Because out here, there's nobody. Out here, there are birds. Out here, there are fish. Out here, there's a very large alligator and or crocodile that I saw once. Out here, there's the birds in the breeze, the sun. And there's everything that would extrovertedly sensing distract me from being with myself. But the truth is that out here is where I come to be. Where I cannot play with anybody because there is nobody. Out here is where there's no information to consume. Out here, other than the getting here, there's nothing to do. The only thing I can do is be. And allow the thoughts and the emotions that well up to come in and process them. Out here is where I'm forced to sleep. I can choose to not stop. I can choose to hop on my trusty steed and ride another 2 miles out from where I came to where my truck and all the things that I decided to bring out here are. But I choose this spot because I discovered it a few weeks ago, and I found out what it can do. I spend enough energy riding at a brisk pace through brush and mud to get me tired enough to want to sit. To spend enough energy where relaxing seems normal. To sit down long enough that as I gather my energy again, it feels okay to think and or process. The last time I came out here, I had a pretty tough time. I had to face things that I'd been avoiding for some of it for years, some of it recent. And I learned a very valuable lesson, is that as I was racing what was left of the sun to make it back to my vehicle before dark, when I got back, packed my bike and closed the door, I just sat and I thought some more about all the things that I had just thought about, but not in a state of worry and unrest, but in how good it felt to have come to some conclusions, how good it felt to have made, even if it's just a micro decision on how to go forward. I processed my shit. I processed my things. And I went back with a sense of rejuvenation, and most importantly, some strength. I found that the things that I was afraid were going to eat me alive did not. I found that the things that concerned me the most, some warranted concern, but I was aware of it now. And some of the things that I ran away from were actually just there to guide me. All I had to do was listen. So here I am once again. I came out here on purpose. This time I decided to camp overnight, to really be with myself. But when I closed the zipper to my tent, and I can't even see outside, and I can only hear the winds through the pine needles and crickets, and I'm locked inside a 7x7 tent. I'm locked in there with me. I'm closed up with whatever I have to think and whatever I have to feel. And the nights are long when you camp. That's beautiful. You have only the light of the day and the color of the sun to mark the passage of time. You let go of a lot of things. But here I am ranting about things all extroverted, sensory, and whatnot, but perhaps this gives you insight on people of my type. The desire to take care of people's well-being emotional well-being can't be applied out here. And inevitably, taking the action to come out to a place to do this hard work of processing things and understanding who I am and where I belong amongst my group of people is taking care of myself and my well-being. So what's it like to have sleep last? It's being given the opportunity to learn when it's time to rest. It's being given the opportunity to take care of yourself, having the choice to exercise it, as difficult as it is. Nothing difficult doesn't come with its equal and great rewards. Whatever animal you have last, if you learn to practice it, I promise you, it will bring balance to everything else. You're running on 3. Everybody runs on 3. Whatever your first 3 animals are, fucking go, zoom, straight to the moon, straight to paradise, straight to whatever it is you think you want. And you'll always be running on 3. And you'll be leaving a part of yourself behind. Stop. And do whatever that is. As hard as it is, as hard as it is, as hard as it is. Stop. And the rewards will be plentiful.